Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited. I have Robert, who you guys know from the channel. He's been on quite a few times, but somebody I've never been able to have on is Ingleton from I Love Comics or Old Man Comics. And I think I've known you for about 3 years now, and we go back and forth. But I think the best thing about that I've always enjoyed about your channel is you can have a little bit of differences and still be, pretty much able to get along. Plus, you do like comic book Jeopardy and super fun stuff like that.
I love the comic book Jeopardy. There are two shows that we do that get very few views, but I will never stop them. I don't care if it destroys my channel. It's just far too much fun. And that is the comic book Jeopardy and the Bad Comic Theater on Friday nights, where we're reading in the worst high school voices and everything. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, you're invited on both. To tell you the truth, you should show up.
I want to do comic book Jeopardy. That's so cool.
Same here. I mean,
and
Robert,
since you're allowing me to plug, and you can win prizes. I do buy the trade paperbacks and such. Yes, some of them come from Ollie's. I'm not rich, but you can win prizes on the on comic book Jeopardy. I honestly do send the books. Maranya just got a whole big bag full of trade paperbacks because she keeps coming on and winning. Someone needs to beat her, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't.
I'll dethrone her.
Yeah.
So I figured today, normally we always talk about new comics. I want to kind of look over that, and then we'll talk. And initially I had wanted to talk about Deceased. Halloween is coming up at the end of the week. And I did actually get to already read DC versus Vampires, and I'm not going to ruin anything, but it's so good. I'm so good. To that one. Yeah, James Tynion. It's such a shame that DC is losing him. Like, the man can write horror so good.
Well, yeah. There's a saying. A lot of people who know me have heard so many times. You can only be slapped so many times before you start flinching when someone reaches for the salt shaker. And that's kind of what happens with these creators who come in. And they are treated like indentured servants. They're, the DC is making $1 gajillion off of the creation. So it gets to the point, why would anybody now create new characters? Why would anybody now put forth 100% when so many options are open now? The crowdfunding, different independent companies. You could literally just go out and say, you know what, I'm going to be a comic book person today. I'm going to start writing them, start drawing, and put it out. I kid you not. Okay, maybe I don't know 100%, but I will bet you somebody could crowdfund a character called Stick Figure and make their own dang comic strip or comic book. I will bet you money, if it's written well, that can happen. That's how that's how open it is to everybody. So why not Tynion or a Venditti go out and actually kick ass doing their own stuff?
Well, the stuff I've seen, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check out this stuff on Comixology. I know it's not quite the same, but from Scott Snyder has been fantastic too. Like his We Are Demons, and I think the other one was called Clear. And I know there's one from Chip Zdarsky now also. Like, there's so many different options than there was 10 years ago. I don't necessarily think like Substack's going to change the comic book industry, because I think that has problems all on its own. But I do think it's making them at least think a little bit.
The way that Substack is going to change is that this is a safe space for moderate comic book writers and artists. Obvious Comicsgate turned from what it was into what Ethan Van Sciver turned it into. Yeah. So you have a lot of people on that side going over there. And I think that this is someplace people that they think they can go and it's safe for them, where it doesn't have a stigma attached to it. But I don't think it's going to change the industry. There's been so many options before this, other than that if enough go over and are successful, then what's going to happen is you're going to see even a quicker drop in quality when it comes to the big two, which we've already been seeing.
Oh yeah.
And that is
Let me
kind of sad.
let me get this super chat before Raymond has to go to work. Back to work. Thank you so much. Just wanted to stop by and say, hey, have a good stream, everyone. Got to get back to work. Have a good day. Thank you so much, Raymond. And I do think there is, and I think maybe that's why I'm so particular with what I buy. Like, there is really good books out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's really great books out there. Not the whole industry is woke, or as some people would tell you, but there's also some pretty bad titles out there that can be avoided. Like, I think it's funny just because I get entertainment out of it, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen the title Maw, M-A-W.
Hated it.
I have not.
Okay, there's this lovely young lady who works at my comic shop. She is a member of the gay community, and we have discovered that everything I like, she hates, and everything I hate.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah, I told her, because she asked, "Did you read Ma?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I know you're a lesbian, but are you a man-hating, want all men to die lesbian? Because if so, this is for you. This is your book." She laughed at that because basically, yeah, if you read that book, there's a lot of men suck in that book. But
oh boy,
yeah, it's. I actually went through it twice because I always think whenever. I always think, am I being a little bit sensitive on this one? Am I chasing ghosts? No, I wasn't on Ma. I don't think so. But tell me, why did you enjoy it, Tristen?
I enjoyed issue 1. Now, issue 2 did lose me. I will say that. There was some good redeemable qualities to it, but issue 1, I don't know if it's so much as I kind of looked at it as like satire on feminism. Maybe that's why. Okay. And I don't think that's what it was made to be at all. But it's supposed to be serious, and it's like, good God, these people exist.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got a point because it goes so far with it that you're right. It could be satire. But you know what? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you liked a book I didn't, that means your money was well spent.
Yep.
You won that particular battle because I spent the same money. It was like, what am I going to do with this? Well, I'm going to put it in the auction and hope somebody buys it. So thank you, Nerdy Texan Agent. I got his name wrong again, but there you go.
I do think there is good like satire stuff on necessarily like current events. Maybe not totally feminism, but I think more like the Me Too movement. If you've ever read Not All Robots.
No, I did not get the chance.
It's fascinating. Like, it's Mark Russell, and I am not a Mark Russell fan. There's a lot of things he's done that I don't care for, but this is fascinating. Like, it's so well done. And it's like, basically the men are the robots, right? So not all robots. Remember when people were going around saying not all men are like this? And it's actually, it's thought-provoking, and it's obviously set in a dystopian world, but it gives you the idea that there are good robots or men.
That's actually something that I'm surprised that Mark Russell would write a book like that. I'm very interested because Mark Russell is left to left. So when it comes to arguments about identity politics and everything. And a lot of people, when it comes to the Me Too movement and such, and I'm talking about people who are really into it, will not ever admit that men have problems also. So I'm actually surprised. I'm more interested in it now because I think Mark Russell is like a home run king with a really bad batting average. He swings at everything, and he either hits a home run or he strikes out. There is no in between. This is not somebody who gets on base.
I will say this. I will say this. I did not mind his Second Coming when you actually sit down and read all. If you compare it to something like Dogma, for example, where it's like, it's more poking fun at religion, but it's doing it in a way that's not degrading it. You might think it is, but when we actually look at what he's talking about, you're like, oh, okay, I see where he's going. He's trying to more write it like if it's from a real world point, like a more realistic point of view, and maybe because I'm a bit agnostic and everything, but I looked at it like, because I'm always of the belief of the Bible's not exactly what happened. It's just an interpretation of what things that happen. And I'm looking at it like Second Coming is kind of like not exactly where I'm looking at it, but a bit closer to it's real, but not in the way you're thinking it was real.
Mm-hmm. My go-to for Mark Russell would be the Flintstones and the Snagglepuss. I thought that was brilliant stuff.
Well, you have Marie Javins editing him on those books, and I think she brought out the best in him.
Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's the combination, because sometimes you get the right artist and writer together and they transcend. And there's some stuff where I've read of Mark Russell's Second Coming being one of them where it just didn't hit for me. Wow, we're going to disagree about everything here, aren't we?
In that, I haven't read Second Coming, but I will say I thought it was pretty dumb that it was lost from it was originally DC, right?
Oh yeah.
That was so dumb. Like I have a real issue with any sort of censorship of art. I know they went to Ahoy. I get it was eventually put out, but like if you're going to censor one extreme, like, you know, the religious right is going to censor something, then you can't scream out when the left does it too. So it's just like, just let it exist. If people don't like it, the market's going to decide. I say that way too often on my channel, but the market will decide. If it's not a good book, it'll get canceled.
That's I'm looking for the flaw in your argument look, guy, because I'm sure there's one or two books out there that went way too long after they stopped being good.
Oh, I'm sure. But like stuff, and then you got books caught in the crossfire, like Vendetti's Hawkman, that should never have got canceled.
That should be going on forever and ever.
Agreed.
And ever. The most evil thought right now just popped into my head that we need to chain him to a desk where he only does Hawkman for the rest. Seriously, it was amazing. We do this I'm plugging everything on my show. Every 6 months we do what we call the Spirit Awards, because the Eisners have become what comic has more politics rather than what's best, and Hawkman got voted as one of the best of the last decade. Amazing comic book. Highly recommend get the trades at this point, you know, find the floppies with those. I keep saying his name wrong, but those Savic covers. So
even Sajik.
Thank you. Other people could say it. I cannot. All right.
He's one of my absolute top 3 artists right now. Well, he's not doing a whole lot right now, but he's amazing.
Yeah, and Samuel's right. He was great on Exo Man Award as well. But I'm a Venditti fan. He won me over with Hawkman to the point where if he writes anything, I'm in. Have
you checked out his Superman 78?
Yes, great story, horrible.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. The art's not the best, but yeah, I think I'm the same with him. I have a few people that I'm on automatic buy, and are you done? Hush. Okay. Basically, he's an automatic buy. I know a lot of people don't like Tom Taylor. He's another one that's an automatic buy for me. There's quite a few.